I sit at my desk. The office is quiet except for the low hum of the air conditioner. My laptop casts a pale glow over reports I've already reviewed, twice dates, figures, reminders of work done, work that should have been acknowledged. I lift my coffee, swirl it, and take a slow sip. Lukewarm, bitter, grounding. The memory of my manager's words flickers. Next cycle, Rochelle. You know how these things work. I nod politely, composed, but inside, my awareness sharpens. That next cycle has stretched far too long. I tap my pen lightly against the desk, counting patience like a metronome. A new email pops into my inbox. Reminder, performance review pending. I hover over it. Not yet. Timing matters. I scroll through another chart, clean numbers, irrefutable. Every achievement documented. Every step traceable. Proof ready, if I need it. Footsteps echo. My manager passes, briefcase in hand, nods at the team. Their laughter drifts through the glass wall. I do not look up. Fingers tap the keyboard rhythmically. Quiet endurance. Dignity intact. The clock reads 7:42 p.m. Another evening spent observing, recording, waiting. I glance at a saved email. June 14th, 3:12 p.m. Every phrase, every commitment, every polite deferral logged. Frustration simmers. But it doesn't linger. It is an instrument, not a burden. Shoulders even. Blazer straight. Calm. Ready. A colleague's eyes skim my workspace. She pauses, smiles faintly, then moves on. Small acknowledgement. I return to the spreadsheet. Cursor blinks. Coffee mug in hand, tracing condensation. Rituals to stay grounded. Outside, the city moves without notice. Inside, I measure my own time. Patience, deliberate. Awareness, deliberate. My power. Quiet. Absolute. I lift the coffee once more, tilt it to the side, set it down, click of the mouse. Scrolling to the final chart of the day. Footsteps behind the glass manager leaving. I don't flinch. I don't react. Calm. Present. Ready. I whisper under my breath. They think patience means I've forgotten. I haven't. Eyes return to the screen. Cursor blinks. Tomorrow, the work continues. Tonight, I observe. Calculate. Plan. Timing is mine. Action will come. I am ready. I step into the conference room. Sunlight glances off the polished oak table, highlighting neat stacks of paper and scattered pens. The air hums low. Notebook aligned. Coffee beside it. Tap of the spine grounding. Colleagues murmur, shuffle papers. One glances at me, fleeting acknowledgement, then looks away. I straighten my blazer, inhale slowly. Eyes sweep the room. Who leans forward, who checks their phone, who pretends not to notice. The manager sits at the head of the table, posture immaculate, deliberate, practiced over years of boardrooms and briefings. The kind of posture that says, control, but also performance. Hands folded neatly over a leather-bound notebook, one of those high-end kinds with embossed initials and worn edges that signal seniority more than substance. The soft light from the ceiling panels spills across the polished table, bouncing off water glasses and chrome pens. Everything looks pristine, controlled, calculated. He clears his throat. The faint scrape of his chair against the carpet punctuates the quiet hum of the HVAC. Then, in that familiar tone, the corporate smoothness polished to perfection, he begins. Rochelle, he says, voice calm, rehearsed, almost gentle. We're restructuring titles this quarter. It lands the same way it always does, like a pre-scripted line from a quarterly play. Not news, not progress, a placeholder, a tactic. I nod once barely. The pen in my hand taps softly against the table. 1, 2, 3. Measured. deliberate. My version of breathing. The rhythm grounds me, marks time without showing irritation. Every movement is strategy now, he continues, glancing briefly down at his notes before looking up again. You know how these things work, he says. A faint, sympathetic smile flickers across his lips, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. Promotions take time. The words hang there. Old words. Polished. Practiced. Empty. They sound the same as last quarter. And the quarter before that. I keep my expression composed. Face neutral. But behind the stillness, my mind moves like clockwork. I've heard this tone enough to know its structure. Acknowledgement without action. Empathy without commitment. A professional lullaby meant to keep people calm while nothing changes. My eyes drift, not carelessly but intentionally, toward the wall clock. 9:14 a.m. The second hand ticks too slowly, dragging the moment out like an echo. The entire room feels stretched thin, time elongated by repetition. I shift slightly in my chair, adjusting posture. Subtle correction. Power through stillness. My fingers tighten around the pen, not enough to show tension, just enough to remind myself I'm grounded, present. The pen becomes my silent metronome, tapping once, twice, thrice, each beat syncing with thought and patience. Across the room, a faint ping from my laptop screen. A new notification. Pending approvals. The timing feels poetic, almost taunting. I see it, process it, and resist the urge to act. Timing matters. Always. Especially when you already hold the proof. The manager shifts slightly in his seat. His eyes flick briefly to my colleague seated to the right. A quick, almost subconscious glance that betrays something. Hesitation, maybe. Or calculation. His lips press together, smoothing into that professional half-smile again. I notice it all the way. His left hand tightens slightly on the pen, the small inhale before speaking, the glance toward his notes to buy a second of thought. Corporate choreography. I've seen this dance before. My pen taps twice more. Tap. Tap. The sound is soft but distinct in the quiet room. A reminder. A record. A heartbeat. I catalog everything, not emotionally, but analytically. Every shift in tone, every micro-expression, every subtle deflection goes into the ledger in my mind. Because preparation is not just about data, it's about observation. It's about noticing what's said and what's deliberately left unsaid. He starts to gesture toward the screen. Spreadsheets stretch across the table, revenue charts, performance metrics, quarterly reports, numbers, data, history, all displayed in neat rows and columns. What he doesn't realize is that these aren't just figures. They're footprints, receipts, each line item a quiet argument in my favor. Each percentage increase a reflection of hours unseen, ideas uncredited, results undeniable. I let my eyes drift over the documents, not hurriedly, but with focus, taking in the numbers that confirm what I already know. Every quarter I've been told to wait, to trust the process, to let the system work. And every quarter the process circles back, same phrases, new packaging, promises repackaged, deferrals polished, cycles stretched endlessly. The air in the room shifts slightly. Maybe it's the hum of the projector. Maybe it's awareness beginning to bloom. Either way, the silence that follows feels weighted. And this time, I don't fill it. Because silence, when you've done the work, speaks louder than defense. And I've done the work. Rustle of paper. A colleague nudges a stack, smiles faintly. I return to the charts. Evidence exists. Solid. Objective. I tap the pen slower. Manager leans slightly forward, jaw tightens. Silent acknowledgement, he knows I am counting. Calm. Ready. Observant. Minutes pass. 9. 10:37 a.m. Meeting winds down. Manager reclines, smoothing the notebook. Well, revisit next quarter, he says casually. I nod. Pen taps once more. Close notebook, deliberate, unshaken. Sunlight filters through blinds. Chairs scrape softly as colleagues gather papers. Manager nods, leaves. I remain, observing the residual energy, the gaps between promises and action. Coffee sipped, lukewarm. Email notification glows faintly, unread. Timing is mine. Fingers pressed to pen. Small. Deliberate. Ready. I whisper under my breath. Maybe promises have expiration dates too. I straighten my blazer, tap the pen once, and look at my notebook. Charts aligned. Reports checked. Evidence documented. Everything accounted for. My hand hovers over the keyboard. The next move is mine. Calm. Aware. Ready. When it comes, it will be deliberate, measured, undeniable. Be honest. What would you do if it was you sitting in that room? Drop your thoughts below. I step into the corner office. The air cooler is sharper here. Sunlight slicing through floor-to-ceiling windows. Dust motes glint across polished mahogany. 10:03 a.m. Notebook and laptop aligned. Coffee beside it, warm but secondary focus outweighs comfort. The new director sits poised, gaze precise. I inhale slowly, exhale controlled. Hands fold in front of me, pen tapping lightly once, twice grounding. Every document mapped. Performance charts 2/14, 3/27, 6/3. Emails timestamped 11:17 a.m., 2:45 p.m. Meeting notes stacked chronologically. Irrefutable. I offer a subtle nod, soft smile, eyes scanning his face. A flicker of curiosity crosses his brow. Noted. Filed. Rochelle, he begins. Deliberate. Even. Let's review your quarter. My hand hovers over the trackpad. Tap. Cursor moves. First spreadsheet opens revenue growth, client retention, internal metrics. Each cell clean. Highlighted. Timestamped. 10:17 a.m. Timing matters. I lean back slightly, adjusting posture. Chair creaks. Eyes drift to the window. City moves below, unaware of quiet battles waged behind glass. Frustration simmers, fueling focus. Patience is my shield. Preparation, my weapon. Director tilts his head, scanning numbers. Subtle narrowing of eyes. Micro pause before speaking. Small gestures, weighty. Pen taps once. Observation becomes my tool. His hand traces paper edge. Timing is everything. I open last quarter's email thread, 3/18, 1:12 p.m. Next cycle. Rochelle. Titles pending review. Let it linger. Cross-reference charts. Client metrics. Team milestones. Growth. 10:31 a.m. Exhale. Rhythm intact. Patience measured. He leans forward subtly. A flicker of recognition, maybe curiosity. I tilt my head slightly. Soft, controlled smile. Pen taps once, twice. Shoulder aligns. Eye contact lingers fractionally. Gentle nod. Subtle. Controlled. Powerful. Silent conversation across the desk. Impressive metrics, he says, voice low. Pause stretches the air. Consideration hidden beneath calm. I let it settle. Sip coffee deliberately. Fingers hover over trackpad, poised above summary file. Every report, chart, email, time-stamped, aligned, undeniable. 10:44 a.m. I could act, but not yet. Observation, positioning, strategy. Every micro detail recorded. Every pulse measured. Sunlight slants through blinds. Dust motes drifting lazily. I lean back slightly. Shadows crossing spreadsheets. Pen taps. Soft, deliberate. Chair creaks. His hands twitch lightly, considering implications. HVAC hum underlines silence, punctuating tension. Eyes drift to the window. Reflection stares back. Calm. Focused. Unshaken. Past unfairness. Empty promises. Delayed cycles. Polite deferrals light now. Inconsequential. Power tangible. Accumulating in deliberate, measured steps. Heartbeat syncs with observation. Every inhale fuels strategy. Director's gaze flickers, subtle acknowledgement. Raised brow, lips pressed thin. I lean forward slightly, measured, signaling engagement without urgency. Tap pen twice. Scroll slowly over summary. Every number, chart, email aligns. Breath slow, deliberate. Reflection in window mirrors, patience, calculation, unwavering intent. A colleague passes the doorway, eyes drawn to screen briefly, retreats, micro shifts ripple. Audience awareness heightens tension. Posture calm, anchored. Pen tap. Chin tilt. Fingers poised. Strategy, patience, power. Consolidating quietly beneath measured gestures. Sunlight shifts, stretching shadows across desk and floor. Dust motes glint. Another deliberate sip of coffee, grounding presence. Every micro-action signals intention. Every blink, pause, pen tap, subtle assertion. Director exhales softly, leans back, shoulder shifts, acknowledgement settling. I remain calm, controlled, calculated, powerful. I whisper under my breath. Observation first. Timing precise. Every move deliberate. Power is quiet. Accumulating. Undeniable. Cursor blinks steadily on the screen, syncing with heartbeat and tap of pen. The air thickens. Shift has begun. Every subtle glance, micro gesture, reflected gaze adds to it. Strategy unfolds. Patience converts to leverage. Director reaches for his coffee, a human gesture. Revealing. Timing noted. Notebook edges aligned. One last chart, quarterly growth. Timestamp visible. Cursor hovers over send. Not yet. Silence stretches. Awareness mutual. Eyes meet briefly. No words. Tension deliberate. Chair creaks. City hums below. Weight of previous quarters, deferred promises. Polite deferrals presses lightly. But preparation. Proof. Patience. Now in my hands. I tap the pen. 1, 2, 3. Cursor blinks. Emails, charts, notes all ready. Evidence undeniable. Timing perfect. I could assert, expose, claim. Yet I wait. Calm. Calculated. Ready. 1 minute before the hour. Fingers hover over the keyboard. Soft exhale. Heart steady. Mind clear. Every metric accounted. Every email time-stamped. Action imminent. Observation. Reflection. Patience. The next move is mine. I whisper. Almost to myself. This ends differently. Soon. Charts glow faintly in morning light. Anticipation tightens. Every micro-decision built to this point. And now, I am ready. I step into the director's office. Morning sunlight spills across polished oak, merging with soft fluorescent glow. Dust motes trace edges of leather chairs and stacked reports. Coffee in the corner, notebook aligned, pen tapped twice, deliberate, measured. Director looks up from his laptop, eyebrow raised, tilts chair, slightly subtle nod acknowledging presence. I offer a small, confident smile. Fingers hover over pen tap. Tap. Quiet sounds echo. Every detail observed. HVAC hum, distant clatter. Soft pen clicks. Laptop open. Charts ready. Metrics aligned. Emails time-stamped. 2/14. 3/27, 6/3. Client interactions. Milestones logged. His gaze drifts across data. Flicker of curiosity. I inhale, exhale. Timing is mine. Impressive compilation, he says. Calm, measured. Eyes scan the room, every small gesture. Arrangement noted. Tilt of head, slight narrowing of eyes. Skepticism? Assessment? Catalogued silently. Tap pen once. Pause. Tap again. I lean forward over email draft. Pending title and recognition. Performance summary. Headers aligned. Attachments verified. Metrics cross-checked. Timestamps intact. One last internal check. Director shifts slightly, micro movement. Subtle acknowledgement. Timing optimal. Exhale. Sip coffee. Observe. Every micro gesture counts. Pen tap, shoulder alignment, eye contact. Office alive with unspoken expectation. Finger hovers over send. Heart steady. Anticipation coils. Calm, strategic, prepared. He clears throat softly. Eyes meet mine, a heartbeat longer than polite. Subtle signal, aware, watching, weighing. Pen taps once, quiet affirmation. Metrics, emails, notes aligned. Evidence undeniable. The moment has arrived. I lean back, eyes sweeping office. Sunlight catches notebook edge. Whisper, almost to myself. Let's see if they finally see me. The cursor blinks. The screen waits. The office waits. And so do I. Fingers hover above the trackpad. Pen rests lightly against the notebook. Tap, tap. Eyes scan charts. Revenue growth, client retention, KPIs, metrics undeniable. The director leans forward subtly. Jaw tightens. Eyebrow quirks. A micro reaction, almost imperceptible, but I see it. Awareness, curiosity, recognition. I sip coffee slowly. Eyes on him. Mirrored tension. Hand tapping desk. Slight shoulder shift. Every gesture a signal. Power silent, present. 2 years of next cycles. Deferred recognition. Empty promises. Polished excuses. Yet here I sit, armed with proof. Emails recorded, charts aligned, internal metrics tracked. Quiet accumulation of power. Notebook slides slightly, revealing highlighted notes from prior quarterly reviews. Pen taps once. Cursor blinks. Sunlight glints off spreadsheet edges. Momentum built. Timing deliberate. The director reclines, hands folded. Eyes scan documents. Flick to my screen. Pause at the draft email. Subtle nod, almost invisible. Energy absorbed, interpreted, cataloged. Presence speaks louder than words. I hover over the send button. Fingers poised, thumb brushing pen. Pulse steady. Breath controlled. Every detail aligned. Every metric irrefutable. Patience converts to leverage. Trackpad click. Cursor moves. Charts highlighted. Attachments verified. Finger hovers fractionally over send. The director's eyes widen almost imperceptibly. Eyebrow lifts, a micro expression, fleeting, curiosity mixed with realization. Awareness ripples. I press. Click. The email leaves my outbox, carrying months of patience, meticulous proof, strategic calculation. Exhale. Chair creaks softly. Coffee untouched. The director shifts subtly, half standing, half sitting. Recognition lingers. The quiet victory lands. Sunlight reflects off polished surfaces. The office hums quietly. Evidence delivered. Proof undeniable. Anticipation stretches. The next response unknown, yet power has shifted. I trace the edge of my notebook with a finger. A micro gesture confirming order, control. Whisper. Soft but deliberate. Now, we see who notices. Eyes flick to the director. Pause hangs thick. Micro expressions noted. Energy absorbed. The office feels suspended. The game has changed. The air feels heavier now. Sunlight slices through blinds, casting alternating bands of gold and shadow. Dust motes drift lazily, catching the light as if they hold a secret. I rest my fingertips lightly on the trackpad, pen in the other hand. Tap. Deliberate, measured. Coffee cools in its mug, faintly bitter, grounding. Every sense sharpens. The director leans back in his chair, posture rigid at first, then easing slightly. Eyes fixed on the screen. Lips pressed thin. A subtle lift of the brow. Tiny twitch. At the corner of one eye. Micro shifts. In jaw, shoulder, fingertip against the desk. He exhales slowly. Shoulders shift a fraction. Small movements almost imperceptible to anyone else, but I see them all. Silence stretches, holding weight. Pen taps again. Deliberate. Cursor blinks steadily. I trace the notebook's edge with my thumb, movement anchoring me. Breath slow, chest steady. Tilt chin slightly, adjust a chart on the desk. Patience is not stillness. It is strategy breathing. It is the accumulation of unseen force. I glance at the emails. I've sent proof of effort, evidence collected, months of preparation. Tap the pen softly. Cursor blinks, unwavering. Each blink echoes in the quiet room like a heartbeat, marking the passage of waiting and calculation. Sunlight shifts imperceptibly, stretching shadows across the floor. Dust motes drift again, catching in the streaks. I lean forward slightly. Inhale. Exhale. Adjust notebook so edges align perfectly. Tap pen once. The director's eyes flick toward the spreadsheet. Micro expression. Tiny lift of brow, almost a twitch at the corner of the mouth. He exhales. Shoulders settle, then shift again. He doesn't speak. Yet tension hangs thick, palpable. I let my gaze wander briefly across the office, the polished desk, the glowing laptop screen, the faint hum of fluorescent lights overhead. The aroma of coffee rises again. Subtle, almost a reminder that time is still moving. My pen taps lightly. The cursor blinks. I shift slightly in my chair. Inhale, exhale, letting the rhythm of the room settle in every sound, every movement, every breath cataloged and understood. His hand brushes a piece of paper, then withdraws. A soft creak from the chair, a lifted brow, a tightening jaw. Every gesture speaks, every silence carries weight. My pen taps 3 times, soft against the desk. My finger traces the edge of a chart, slow, deliberate. The sunlight catches the highlighted cells, illuminating the quiet proof of months of work condensed into numbers and dates. Time stretches. Each second magnifies the tension. I take a sip of coffee, warm, slightly bitter, grounding. My breath steadies. A faint movement catches my eye. A colleague's shadow slips past the door, unnoticed. My gaze returns to him. His expression barely shifts, but I see it. The flicker, the calculation. I adjust my notebook, align the edges. Tap, breathe, wait. Patience isn't passive. It's precision breathing. It's reading every blink, every twitch, every subtle shift in posture. It's quiet accumulation, deliberate, unspoken, undeniable. Preparation embodied. The air hums with tension, every element light, sound, silence calibrated and controlled. I hover my fingers above the trackpad. One tap, cursor blinks. Sunlight drapes across the desk. Dust motes drift slowly. The hum of the HVAC vibrates beneath it all. My coffee cools beside me, untouched. Breath even. Heart steady. Power isn't loud, it gathers. Quiet and certain. Strategy unfolding in silence. I lean back. The leather creaks beneath me. My fingers trace the edge of the notebook, slow, intentional. Every deferred promise flickers through my memory. Every next cycle accounted for. This is what preparation looks like. Evidence, metrics, receipts, all aligned, all irrefutable. I realign the pages, perfecting the edges. My hand hovers over the trackpad again. The director shifts forward, subtle, but telling. He feels it. The gravity of what's been set in motion. The hum of electronics. Faint footsteps in the hall. The city murmurs beyond the glass. I breathe it all in, the calm before recognition. I control this room. I control this moment. I control the narrative. Every choice has led here. Every silence intentional. He moves barely. But even the smallest movement holds meaning. A hand brushes against the edge of the desk, the sound faint, almost imperceptible fingertips, grazing polished wood as though testing for grounding. His head tilts slightly, the angle deliberate, almost cautious. Then, a micro nod, subtle, measured but visible enough for me to register it instantly. It's the kind of gesture most people would miss, but not me. Recognition quiet. Restrained, undeniable flickers in that single motion, like the smallest spark catching dry air. His gaze shifts, slowly, methodically, from the spreadsheets laid neatly before him to the open emails glowing faintly on the screen, and then finally to me. His eyes hold a fraction longer this time, a silent acknowledgement of what's been unfolding beneath his awareness for weeks, maybe months. Every motion, every pause between his glances confirms what I already know. He's piecing it together. He's seeing the threads, the patterns, the timestamps, the precision of my work, all the things I've built quietly, methodically, without ever having to announce them. There's no shock in his expression, just that subtle shift, realization settling in like the slow burn of morning light spreading across glass. The awareness isn't sudden. It's steady, deliberate, unfolding in layers he can't yet name but already feels. Outside, through the glass door, someone passes. Their reflection flickers, a silhouette pausing mid-step, curiosity caught for just a second before they move on. The faint click of their heels fades down the hallway, swallowed by the hum of the building. The interruption barely touches the atmosphere inside. This room has its own gravity now, dense, charged, contained. Inside, the air hums differently. The HVAC's low rhythm merges with the pulse of awareness between us. It's no longer just background noise. It's part of the tension, part of the unfolding equation. Even the light feels alive. Sunlight glinting off the metallic clips of the reports, the edges of the charts, the faint reflection on the laptop screen. The golden glare hits the time-stamped documents, each one a marker of diligence and truth. Every shimmer feels like quiet proof. I breathe slowly, steady, silent, deliberate, the kind of breath that anchors power without displaying it. My fingers rest near the pen, waiting, poised. The room feels smaller now, not physically but energetically condensed, intentional. The space between us thrums with unspoken understanding. Then I tap my pen once more, slow, precise. The sound punctuates the silence like a closing statement in a trial already won. The tap isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It's rhythm, authority, a heartbeat disguised as calm. He blinks. Once, twice, and I know he's felt it, the shift. The proof is no longer in the papers, it's in the air, and it's undeniable. They're starting to see it. The shift. The balance recalibrating. No words spoken, but the room knows something has changed. The director exhales. This time he leans forward, hands clasped, eyes steady. The air moves differently now, heavier, aware. I tilt my head, pen resting near the edge of my notebook. The power I've built, quiet, deliberate, earned, sits between us. Tangible, unavoidable. I whisper, low and even. This changes everything. Sunlight slides lower, shadows stretching across the desk. The cursor blinks. The room holds its breath. The director hasn't spoken, but the shift is already complete. Recognition, calculation, anticipation, all alive in the silence. I sit back, calm, composed, aware, and I know the next move, his or mine, will rewrite the game. The office waits. I wait, and power, quiet and certain, rests in my hands. Sunlight slants through the blinds, slicing the polished desk into bars of light and shadow. I rest my fingers lightly on the pen. Tap, tap, tap. The sound echoes faintly, measured, like a slow heartbeat. The cursor blinks on the laptop screen, steady, silent, a metronome I control. Coffee curls faintly in the air, grounding, comforting, almost ritualistic. Chair creaks softly as I adjust forward, posture exact, eyes on the director. He leans back slightly, hands folded, fingers brushing together. A subtle exhale escapes him. An eyebrow lifts, minimal but meaningful. Recognition? Curiosity? Skepticism? Every movement catalogued. Shoulders tensing, then relaxing, lips pressing together, gaze narrowing. Time stretches, every second weighted. I tilt my head subtly, tracing the edge of my notebook with my thumb. Fingertips brush over spreadsheets, papers, corner of the coffee cup. I inhale long, controlled. Exhale deliberate, slow. Awareness sharpens. Power coils in the space between us like an invisible spring, waiting, contained. A subtle shuffle from the hallway, distant footsteps, low murmur, barely noticeable, yet noted. Environment, context, detail, all part of the calculus. He shifts again, a hand brushing a report, retracting, glancing at the charts, then at me. Recognition flickers, tiny, almost invisible. I meet it with calm, steady eyes. Micro-actions form a silent conversation. My pen hovers, poised. A tilt of my chin, a slow blink, a faint adjustment of posture. Each gesture conveys awareness, command, strategy. The room hums, HVAC low, electronics faint, city buzzing beyond the window. Dust motes drift lazily in the sunlight, catching briefly on the edge of a chart. I let my gaze drift over them, internalizing the stillness, the quiet tension. Every shadow, every line of light, every slight movement is data. Observation is a weapon. I lean back slightly, chair creaking as I find balance. Fingertips hover over the edge of the notebook. I review the record in silence, 2 years of deferred recognition, polished excuses, and next cycle promises, each one carefully logged. Every email timestamped, every metric verified, every project accounted for. Evidence doesn't shout, it accumulates. The pen taps softly, twice a signal of focus. Coffee cools, untouched. The cursor blinks, steady. I whisper under my breath, I control this room. I control this moment. I control the narrative. Every movement, every pause, every breath has been deliberate. I align the pages of my notebook, precise to the millimeter. My fingers hover over the trackpad, waiting. The director shifts, slightly forward, small, but telling. Acknowledgement of the weight he now senses. I map the room in detail. The low hum of electronics, faint rustle of papers outside, distant rhythm of city life beyond the glass. Each pulse, each vibration catalogued, measured, understood. Power is invisible, but it fills the air, thick and certain. A slow inhale, a steady exhale. The tension doesn't leave me. It sharpens me. Timing, precision, patience, the trinity of quiet control. Then, movement. His chair creaks. Fingers brush the edge of his notebook. Eyes flick from the metrics to me. Recognition starts to bloom cautious, calculating. I shift slightly forward, fingertips grazing the trackpad, aligning the papers once more. Every gesture deliberate, every breath measured. The tension is quiet, surgical, undeniable. A faint smile ghosts across my lips, controlled, intentional. The scent of cooling coffee mingles with sunlight on the desk. Every object in the room mirrors my composure. Calm, measured, commanding. The director exhales again, a fraction deeper this time. His jaw tightens, then loosens. Micro nod. A shift in weight. The silence between us becomes language. Power is moving. Not loudly, but unmistakably. The air thickens with recognition. The room hums like something alive. I tap the pen once, and he flinches. Sunlight glides across the floor. Shadows stretch and settle. Dust drifts through gold light. I lift my chin, meeting his gaze steady, leveled. The moment holds. He leans forward, lips part slightly. Calculation flickers behind his eyes. Recognition follows. I whisper, low and clear. They see it now. The game has changed. His silence says enough. Energy realigns. The control no longer needs to be asserted. It's already mine. I lean back, composed, unshaken. The story now bends toward me, quiet, deliberate, irreversible. The room waits. The cursor blinks. The air itself seems to listen. And I know. The next chapter belongs to me. Suspense stretches. Anticipation hangs cinematic, tense, undeniable. Sunlight slants through the blinds, painting slow-moving stripes across the polished oak desk, gold against grain, light against shadow. The air hums with quiet electricity, the kind that lives between unsaid thoughts and measured intentions. I tap my pen lightly. Once. Twice. The sound is soft but distinct. Each tap a small punctuation in the silence. The cursor blinks steadily on the laptop screen, a silent metronome marking time, discipline, restraint. The faint aroma of coffee lingers, grounded, bitter, familiar. It mingles with the sterile scent of paper and printer ink. The subtle hum of electronics, the low rhythm of distant typing from another office. Everything feels suspended, every breath deliberate, every sound amplified. I straighten, then lean slightly forward. The leather of my chair responds with a quiet sigh. Movement controlled, intentional, calculated. I can feel the weight of the moment balancing in the air, fragile but firm, precise as a held breath before revelation. Across from me, the director glances up. The shift is small, a fraction of a second, but unmistakable. His eyebrows lift almost imperceptibly. Lips press together. A subtle tilt of the head follows, just enough to suggest thought, recognition, calculation, the first flicker of awareness dawning. I catalog it all in silence, the way one might trace constellations in a dark sky. My gaze moves methodically from his eyes, to the tension in his jaw, to the set of his shoulders, and back to the documents between us. My eyes drift down to the charts, the time-stamped emails, the clean trail of metrics that tell their own truth. Every fraction of movement, every delayed glance, every shallow exhale, it all speaks. My fingers trace the edge of the notebook, slow, deliberate, grounding. The texture of the paper beneath my fingertips reminds me of hours logged, late nights documented, every result earned line by line. I inhale slowly, controlled, letting the air expand into my chest. Then exhale, just as measured, the kind of breath that clears noise and amplifies awareness. Fingers hover above the trackpad, still but ready. My entire posture becomes an act of precision, a quiet command that doesn't need to raise its voice. My presence is the punctuation in this room. Every subtle motion is part of the dialogue. Pen tap, blink, inhale, silence. The tension hums, quiet but unmistakable, threading itself through the air. It's not confrontation. It's awareness. It's the moment before acknowledgement, before the unspoken truth surfaces. Sunlight shifts again, a slow crawl across the desk, catching on the laptop screen. The glow illuminates the highlighted cells, data points, percentages, timestamps, each one a fragment of truth. It gleams like quiet evidence, patient and undeniable. I let the light move across my face, steady, unflinching. The numbers don't need defense. The proof is here, in plain sight. And for the first time, I see it, the flicker behind his composure. He knows. Not everything yet, but enough. I don't speak. I don't need to. Silence, here, is language. The pen rests against my notebook again, tip barely touching paper. My heartbeat matches the cursor's. Rhythm steady, certain, controlled. This isn't chance. This is precision. This is the power of quiet truth revealing itself, one blink at a time. A soft shuffle of paper. His hand brushes a document briefly. I note the tilt of his shoulder, the tightening of his jaw. Micro actions become signals, awareness dawning, the power dynamic subtly tilting. My heartbeat remains steady, anticipation coiling quietly in my chest. I lean back slightly, chair creaking softly. Fingertips rest lightly on the notebook. 2 years of polite deferrals, every next cycle, every postponed promise, all documented, aligned, undeniable. I tap the pen once, softly, deliberately. Cursor blinks. Microgesture. A subtle nod to myself. Power is cumulative, strategic, quiet. Sunlight shifts, casting longer shadows. Dust motes glint faintly. The office hums HVAC. Distant typing, soft murmur in the hall. Each sound an anchor, a metronome for strategy. My eyes sweep the room. Polished desk, laptop glow, pen aligned beside notebook. Micro actions reinforce internal control, signaling calm authority. I consider next moves, weighing options, anticipating reactions. Will he reply immediately? Pause? Defer? The shift is already happening. I observe and respond with precision. Every heartbeat echoes strategy. Every breath confirms intent. He leans forward slightly, fingertips pressing lightly against the desk. Chair tilts subtly. Head shifts. Attention confirmed. Recognition solidifies in his gaze. I trace the movement, noting every micro-gesture, every pause, every almost imperceptible sigh. A colleague peeks briefly from the doorway, curiosity halting mid-step. Eyes linger on the laptop screen before they retreat. Silence stretches. Sunlight glints across charts, highlighting metrics. I adjust a sheet of paper, edges perfectly aligned, tap pen once. Micro-action, deliberate. Power is silent, tangible, undeniable. He exhales slowly, hands folding atop one another. Eyes lift, scanning the screen, then me. Lips pressed together, slight narrowing of eyes, a flicker of recognition. The energy in the room shifts. Tension thickens, coiled like a spring. I breathe slowly, deliberately. Every micro-gesture reinforces calm authority, the quiet power I've been cultivating for months. Sunlight slides across the desk, catching on highlighted notes. Dust motes drift lazily in the still air. The cursor blinks patient, steady as my pen rests beside the trackpad. I tap once. Inhale. Exhale. Chin tilted slightly, gaze leveled with the director's. He shifts forward, posture balanced between standing and leaning. Pause. Recognition flickers calculation. Acknowledgement a shift so subtle yet undeniable. I whisper softly, calm and deliberate. The balance has shifted. Now we see who moves next. Silence answers me. Sunlight stretches into long shadows across the desk. The cursor blinks, chair creaks, air hums with quiet tension. The outcome is unwritten, but the power, quiet, deliberate, earned, is already mine. I lean back, composed, aware. The next move will define everything. Sunlight slices through the blinds, painting gold stripes across the desk. My pen taps once, twice. The rhythm steady, measured. Coffee sits cold, untouched. I adjust my notebook, edges aligned, fingertips grazing the paper. The director leans forward, hands pressing against the desk. Brows lift, jaw tightens, the smallest tells of recognition. I meet his gaze, unwavering, his processing it all. The evidence, the timing, the precision. Every silence is a statement now. I whisper, almost to myself, I control this room. I control this narrative. I control the outcome. Power is cumulative, invisible, until it's undeniable. Sunlight glints on time-stamped charts, every number a receipt, every highlight a truth. A colleague pauses at the doorway, eyes darting between us. They sense it. The change in gravity, the hum of the HVAC, faint typing from nearby desks, all fade into the background. Inside this space, strategy reigns. The director exhales, leaning back slowly. A flicker of a smile, acknowledgement, perhaps respect. Recognition lands without words. The balance has shifted. It belongs here now. I allow a small, contained smile to surface. Patience, strategy, evidence, quiet power. Every second has been deliberate. Every gesture, intentional. Every silence a move. Sunlight stretches lower. The cursor blinks. Dust motes swirl in the golden air. The room holds a new weight. Acknowledgement settled, though the story is far from done. I whisper, measured and certain, this is only the beginning. The air thickens with quiet triumph. Power no longer sought, simply owned. I straighten my blazer, spine tall, movements clean and purposeful. Stillness replaces strategy. The office hums around me, unaware of what has shifted beneath the surface. But I feel it deep, steady, earned. I rise, fingertips brushing the desk's edge. The pen rests atop my closed notebook, a silent signature of precision and proof. My gaze sweeps the room once, absorbing every detail, every witness to this quiet recalibration of power. The director watches, posture measured, expression thoughtful. No words needed. The understanding is mutual. I exhale slowly. Calm. Final. Recognition achieved. Control reclaimed. At the doorway, hand resting on the handle, I whisper one last time. This is mine. Every move from here is deliberate. Sunlight fades. Shadows stretch. The room exhales, and I step forward carrying the proof, the patience, and the quiet triumph that power, once earned, never leaves. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this story. If it spoke to you, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more stories that heal, inspire, and remind us who we are. For every Black woman told to stay quiet, speak anyway.